I've been asked today to speak about Southwest engagement in Colorado River issues. Before I get to that, I thought it would make sense to begin with why the Southwestern Water Conservation District is engaged in these issues. So here's just a quick overview of the presentation. I'll start with talking about purpose and role of the district, recent areas of engagement, and then looking forward into the near future where I see the district participating. So the district was created in 1941 by the Colorado General Assembly. It takes in all or parts of 9 counties located in southwestern Colorado. The district's statutory charge and really responsibility is to lead in the conservation, use, development, and protection of the water resources of the San Juan River and the Dolores River and their tributaries, as well as to safeguard for Colorado all the waters to which Colorado is equitably entitled. So from time to time, I hear of Southwestern referred to as a conservancy district as opposed to a conservation district. Both types of districts perform a really important role, but they are distinct and different. They're organized under different laws. They are created through a different process. And most importantly here, as we're talking today, as between the two, only a conservation district is charged with safeguarding Colorado's compact entitlements. So it's just a map of the 4 conservation districts in Colorado. There have only been 4 created by the legislature. Okay, so there's 4 created by the legislature. They've got a really similar statutory charge. They're responsible for the protection, development, use of waters within their particular boundaries. And then they are also charged with safeguarding Colorado's compact entitlements. So up on the other part of the western slope of the state, we've got the Colorado River Water Conservation District. Down in blue is the Rio Grande Water Conservation District that encompasses most of the San Luis Valley. And then the Republican River Water Conservation District, which, as its name suggests, is in the Republican River Basin. So only 2 of those conservation districts are obviously located on the western slope. And so collectively, both Southwestern and the River District take in all the lands west of the Continental Divide. So the only downfall of this slide is that I wasn't able to hide the River Districts, the Rio Grande Water Conservation boundaries, but we've got the River District and then Southwest right there. So when I think about how Southwestern is engaged in Colorado River Basin matters, I tend to think about it in a couple different ways. They're engaged both in discussions across state lines, and then they also undertake a lot of activities within this particular state that's designed to protect the ability to continue using and developing water resources within the basin. And none of this stuff really fits into any clear box, but I've tried to separate it out a little bit. So the district is engaged in ongoing discussions with stakeholders across the basin, both with other states where appropriate, also within the Upper Colorado River Commission. The UCRC, as we refer to it, is an interstate water administrative agency. It was created underneath that 1948 Upper Colorado River Basin Compact, and it's comprised of 1 commissioner from each of the upper division states, including Commissioner Mitchell, who we have today on behalf of Colorado. And there's also 1 federal appointee. Steve Wolf, Southwest General Manager, also sits on, he's actually the chair of the Engineering Committee, which provides technical advice to the Commission. And then I'm also a member of the Legal Committee, which provides legal advice to the Commission as requested. Southwest is also involved in ongoing discussions with the state of Colorado, and we've also found ourselves in the years since I've been working with the Southwest District, it's been about 5 years, we had increasing participation with the River District. I think really realizing that a lot of our issues and concerns overlap, and that we seem to do better, together on issues. So Southwest is also engaged most recently in drought contingency planning, which includes probably what you've heard about the most is the exploration of demand management. We participate in a variety of forums related to the exploration of demand management. Let's see, so those include, early on as the exploration of demand management was considered as an element within the Upper Basin Drought Contingency Plan, both the River District and Southwest advocated to the CWCB to adopt a set of basic principles that would essentially govern any exploration of that program within the state. We were successful with that, and the CWCB did adopt a set of basic principles that would guide their exploration. Southwest also participated in a number of the work groups that the CWCB set up to explore demand management. They had representatives on the law and policy work group. I participated in that, monitoring and verification, water rights administration and accounting, and education and outreach. Southwest has developed its own guidelines on some basic principles that would also be included in any demand management program were it ever to be stood up, but has not really taken a position one way or the other on that type of program. And really before all of that, Southwest was this active member of the Water Bank Work Group, which has created a number of really valuable studies, including really just trying to explore other conservation efforts to try to prevent buy and dry on the western slope. The district's also been engaged in ongoing technical work. It's really geared towards identifying these risks to Lake Powell and the upper basin water users, including within Colorado. It's included, we've got, an economic impact, secondary economic impact study that the Water Bank Work Group performed, as well as phases 1 through 3 of the risk study. I'm guessing a lot of you have heard about that. It really investigated questions surrounding the magnitude of projected shortages to Lake Powell under existing conditions, and it explored some potential approaches to administering a curtailment should one ever be implemented. And the district also provides ongoing financial support and participation in the San Juan River Basin Recovery Program. That program provides Endangered Species Act compliance for water projects, including those located within southwestern Colorado. So more recently, as we transition towards what is the district doing within Colorado, kind of an increasing area of our focus has been monitoring these activities related to trans-mountain water rights that may impact water supply within the district's boundaries. The district participates as necessary in water court cases. We're actually currently involved in several of these cases. Most of those involve diversions that occur from the San Juan River Basin over into the Rio Grande Basin. For those cases that we do participate in, the focus is on ensuring that, at least in a change case, there's no expansion of a lawful historical use of a trans-mountain water right. So just to put that into a little bit of context, give you an example of that. If there's an entity in the Rio Grande River Basin that has been historically using a trans-mountain water right for irrigation of their property, and they seek to change that water right in water court and use it for a different use in the future, the district is engaged to ensure that they are limited to the amount of water that they have historically pulled over, both in terms of time and amount, to make sure that that use does not get expanded or increased to the detriment of users on this side of the hill. We've also seen a few applications for new junior water rights out of the San Juan River Basin, again for use within the Rio Grande River Basin. And in those, the district's focus is again on making sure that any water claims are limited to just the amount of water that these folks need for their identified beneficial uses. So another area that the district's involved in is it operates an annual grant program. Grants can be obtained for a variety of purposes, including things like ditch rehabilitation, reservoir enlargement studies, and river restoration work. The amount of money that the district allocates to that program does vary from year to year, but it's generally been, at least this year, around $250,000. Other areas is that the district does actively monitor and, as appropriate, take positions on federal and state legislation that might impact water use within the district. I was trying to think of a few recent examples. One would be that the district voted to support the Good Samaritan Remediation of Abandoned Hard Rock Mines Act, which really, as its name suggests, is aimed at making it easier for Good Samaritan groups to clean up abandoned mines and hopefully increase water quality within the area. That's on a federal level. On a state level, the district has recently voted to support the turf replacement bill, which is aimed at encouraging folks to reduce the size of their lawns, and the CWCB projects bill, which includes funding for some Colorado River modeling work. So looking forward, I see the district being engaged in a lot of different areas. I think it's going to continue to be engaged in these interstate discussions, Also discussions in-state, as well as focusing on some of those other efforts that I mentioned. There are ongoing technical efforts to better understand the water supplies and demands within the district. We're working on some modeling right now that I'm hopeful will be released this summer that essentially takes a deeper dive into the phase 3 of the risk study and how that may relate specifically within the subbasins in southwestern Colorado. I also think that we will be engaged in participating in the state and division engineers' promulgation of measurement rules within water divisions 4 and 7. As was mentioned earlier, measurement's a good thing, but it is probably going to be, there's a potential for it to be a costly process. And I suspect these rules are going to impact most water users within the districts. So, they will require measurement rules on most of the groundwater and surface diversions. We expect that there would be some exceptions to that. And they may also speak to requirements for providing your diversion records to the division engineer, as well as potentially installing recording devices. With that, otherwise, I think the district will just continue to focus on working collaboratively with folks. That modeling work that I talked about earlier, that deeper dive into the phase 3 risk study, I expect that the district will try to get out into the local communities and talk with people about what we're finding and get your input on what we're at least seeing. Thank you very much.